Funerals are underway in Israel for victims of a Palestinian attack. Israel has vowed to annihilate Hamas, which controls Gaza, after the terrorists killed 1,300 people, mostly civilians, in an October 7th attack on Israel. It was the most tragic day in Israel's 75-year history. Israeli forces have tightened security and erected barriers on the streets of East Jerusalem ahead of today's prayers. Worshippers are expected to gather at Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem to hold prayers over the conflict between Israel and the Palestinian Islamist group, Hamas. The complex is Islam's third holiest site after Mecca and Medina, and the holiest site for Jews, who call it Temple Mount. What happened at the refugee camp was no surprise. They attacked the camp and carried out a massacre during the day. They attacked houses and the entire installation. They destroyed everything. They damaged the infrastructure, sewage and water supply, and cut off electricity in the camp for all residents. When I came out of my house, I was surprised to see that my store and camp had been destroyed. Rockets were fired at my store. I have a barber shop. As you can see, the destruction is huge. We sat and laughed as we went to bed. We heard rockets above us. We didn't know what was happening. Our neighbors came, took us in, and we took shelter from their air raids. We woke up and saw that everything was destroyed. Nowhere is safe in this neighborhood. We don't want to receive aid. We want the bombing and killing of children in our sleep to stop. We are exhausted by this. Palestinian doctors, volunteers, and residents rushed to search through the rubble of bombed homes and buildings, then evacuated the victims to Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. Gaza's health ministry reports that at least 3,780 Palestinians have been killed and more than 12,000 wounded since the Israeli offensive began. However, extensive Israeli bombing of homes and residential buildings, facilities, media centers, and various other types of buildings have turned them into rubble, and the number of casualties is believed to be much higher than confirmed or reported. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres arrived in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula today in response to the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. The details of an agreement to send aid through the Rafah border crossing between Sinai and Gaza are still being discussed. Prior to the current conflict between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas, some 450 trucks of aid were arriving in Gaza daily. The Israeli siege and bombardment of Gaza, launched in retaliation for the Hamas attack on Israel, has resulted in a worsening humanitarian crisis in the Palestinian enclave.